Sunday Edition.
Good morning and welcome to the KDPG Sunday Edition. I'm John Delano. It has been the political story of 2020, the impeachment trial of President Trump. A jury of 100 senators has been listening to the arguments from House Democrats and from the president's attorneys. They will decide whether or not to convict the president on charges of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. Have you been watching? Have your friends been watching? And if you haven't, what have you seen from the media that's covering the trial? These are all important questions when we consider the public perception of the president's impeachment. And this morning on the KDPG Sunday Edition, we have a special guest to help us answer those questions. Andrew Conti is the director of the Center for Media Innovation at Point Park University. And we are also joined by Julian Routh, political writer for the Post-Gazette. Gentlemen, welcome again. Always good to be with you. Yeah. You know, Andrew, let me just tell the viewers right from the start that we are taping this show on Friday, so we don't know yet exactly what's going to happen.
Don't we? Okay.
But, well, we could surmise.
Right.
But what we do know is that there has been extensive media coverage of this impeachment trial. And of all kinds of media. Of course, I'm focused on television, Julian on the print media. But let me ask you about television. Is anybody watching this impeachment trial?
Well, I think this is sort of the opposite of reality TV, right? Because it's preordained. Sort of everyone says, well, we know how it's going to turn out, so who's watching it? I think the people who are really interested in politics are watching it. I know my wife's aunt has been watching every single second of it, but that's what she does. She watches politics and she's really into it. And so for her, this is a big deal. But I think for the general public, it needs a little bit more drama. I think if there had been a few more twists and turns, maybe, but the feeling that we all sort of knew how this was going to turn out.
And do we have numbers? Do we know yet whether a lot of folks are watching? Are they watching it on network television versus cable television?
Well, I think the numbers will show that they will look like people are watching it because it's been on everything, right? When you go in and you go onto the networks and you get so many more eyeballs on it, it looks like people have been watching it, but it hasn't really been as much a part of our daily conversation as you would think. And you know, if you think back to the days of the Clinton impeachment trial, or certainly the news that was swirling around Nixon when the investigations were taking place, and that was really, you know, when you had fewer options. But now, if people don't want to watch the impeachment trial, there's, you know, you can flip over to entertainment.
Before I turn this over to Julian to talk about the print side of this, let me just ask you, do you think the broadcast coverage has been fair?
I do think it's been fair. I mean, when you look at it, fair within the context of what we know is fair these days, right? We know that if you turn to Fox News, you're going to get the conservative message, and so we expect that. And if you turn to MSNBC, you're going to get the liberal message, and we expect that. So I think within that context, it's fair. But for the most part, it's been just let's shine a light on it and let the the senators and the presenters from the House just have their say.
Well, I mean, obviously the coverage of the event itself has been straightforward. It's all this analysis afterwards, and I didn't know that we have, we must have about 500 talking heads who like to opine on these things on all the various cable networks and the networks as well.
Well, and right now you turn into whatever you want to hear, right? So people turn, you're not. That's one of the unfortunate things about the way our television and cable and internet is all set up now, is that people can tune into only what they want to hear, and so they miss the other perspective. And so we're always encouraging people to, if you think that, you like watching Fox, well, for a little while switch over to NBC and see what they're saying, and vice versa, just because it's good to hear what other people across the spectrum are saying.
When it comes to national print media, the president has had frequent foes in the New York Times and the Washington Post. He's cast a rather large spotlight on them. Do you think they've risen up to the challenge of covering this impeachment?
Well, when you say foes, I mean, I think it's that the president has made them his foes, right? He's the one that's called them out as the enemy of the people. I think the coverage has been straight on. It's been asking difficult questions and going and asking about the truth and holding him accountable. The things that the president doesn't like is whenever they go and they fact check him, right? And they say, well, 80% of the things you said were lies. Well, that's fake news. And so, in terms of that, I think the print media has done a fair job of covering it. And again, there just haven't been that many twists and turns. There hasn't been that much drama.
Well, it was the print media, frankly, that broke the story about John Bolton and the fact that he is a firsthand witness to, at least in his accounting, that the president basically said, yes, break
Although,
the law,
yeah.
hold up the aid
Yeah.
until the Biden investigation has begun in Ukraine. So that was a print media story.
Although, I would say for those of us who've worked in Washington, that felt like one of those print stories that, it was timed, right? It was timed to come out when it did come out and sort of put the pressure on the Senate. Maybe they timed it a day too early or 2 days too early because it seems like things have died down since then. But, while it was a scoop, it felt like a very calculated scoop.
Go ahead.
Now, Senator Amy Klobuchar famously says she can walk and chew gum at the same time. The media has to face an impeachment trial, but also cover a presidential campaign where a lot of these senators are actively involved. How has the media divided that, and do you think how much overlap has there been between the coverage, and has it been successful?
Yeah, I actually expected more overlap. I thought that there would be more, more of the conversation happening in Iowa would be flooding into what's happening in the impeachment and vice versa. And instead, I think the media has really kept it very separate. There were also, I think the thing that we saw this week was, and when we talk about this, the impeachment trial, was you could see that the Republicans were trying to raise this issue of the Bidens and Hunter Biden. And the media really had a calculated conversation about it this week to say, well, how much of coverage are we going to go to that? Because it's been totally disproven. So are we going to drag it out and go through it like we saw what happened with Hillary the last time when she ran and the emails and all the coverage that happened with that? It was a very different approach this time.
Well, and of course, as we now move tomorrow with the caucuses in Iowa, obviously there's going to be a lot of focus on the presidential campaign, and the candidates will certainly be out there campaigning. Do you think that the media coverage in general of the presidential campaign has been better or worse than the coverage of impeachment?
Well, I think we're about to find out, right? I mean, especially for both of you. You guys are going to be on the front lines and traveling everywhere and talking with everyone. So far, I think the coverage has been fair, but it's because we haven't really had that much yet. It's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds, as we start moving through all the states and the question of when we get to Bloomberg and, what's his role going to play in the whole election process.
Well, that was the other question on my list for you, because we, as some folks may know, I did a story on Bloomberg and interviewed Andy Conti, who is our local expert on this kind of stuff, because Michael Bloomberg has spent $10 million in Pennsylvania alone, which is 20 times more than the next nearest person.
Right.
And he essentially is in every one of our 6 media markets. And the whole question of, can you buy a presidential election? And your answer?
Well, my wife and I were watching TV last night, and it seemed to be going back and forth between the Applebee's ads and the Bloomberg ads. And it was like, oh, he's taking on a very corporate-style campaign where he's just putting his message out there. It's very controlled. And actually, one of her questions for me was, well, what do we really know about him? And it's what we've talked about, that we don't know much yet because it's all been very controlled, and we haven't seen him at the debates. We haven't seen him being questioned a lot. And so that's going to be interesting when we get around to that part of the campaign process where he actually has to go out and talk to people. What do we actually see?
Well, and his strategy essentially is to ignore the first 4 states. He's not competing in Iowa, he's not competing in New Hampshire or Nevada or South Carolina. So he's putting all his eggs in Super Tuesday in March, and then the following states, the states that are subsequent, which include Pennsylvania.
And the fact that he's putting money into Pennsylvania also suggests that his people believe this is going to be a campaign that goes on for quite a while. In the past, it used to be that by the time he got to Pennsylvania, it was like, oh, do you go vote because it's already been decided? But now it's going to be, it looks like this could be a process that goes maybe all the way to the convention.
And if he's successful, I guess that's evidence that media, I mean, as far as I can tell, there's no ground game. So media is what makes it happen.
Well, and then it raises the whole question of how do we elect our public officials, right? So if you have enough money, you can just get yourself right to the front of the line, where we've seen all these candidates who've been working for the last year plus, trying to build name recognition and trying to fundraise and fighting for every nickel and dime, and then somebody who just comes in with lots and lots of money and just spends it.
Yeah.
Different from money, the New York Times came out and had a rather odd process with their presidential endorsement this time around, their primary endorsement. One, they endorsed a primary candidate. 2, they offered exclusive insight into their decision. Did you watch that play out, and what do you think?
They endorsed 2 candidates, right?
Yes. They did a split decision.
Warren and Klobuchar both, and which was unusual, and I know it was very unsatisfying for people because I think at this point people want to know, like, who should I vote for?
But does it matter? Does anybody really care what newspapers do? Or?
I thought Klobuchar would get more of a bounce out of it. I thought, with that endorsement from the New York Times, it was like, oh, take a look, because what they were saying was take a look at her as the moderate candidate, right? But she doesn't seem to be able to capitalize on it. So maybe not. Maybe the endorsements don't mean as much as they used to.
Well, I always, we followed, of course, local newspaper endorsements, both from the Post-Gazette and the Tribune Review, and I've never been convinced that they are very persuasive any more than any of us sitting up here or standing up here saying, hey, vote for so-and-so. People make up their own minds.
I worked in a small community in Florida, though, and the newspaper, people would walk into the ballot box with the newspaper, here was everybody that had been endorsed, and they would just go in and vote for those people.
Just take that.
It does, so I think it's still, at least it mattered in the past, so, we'll
We
see.
only have about 60 seconds left. Let me just ask you, this, I assume, in both the impeachment but also this presidential election year, has to be a boon for those who make money off television, radio, and even print advertising.
Yeah, well, like we just talked about with Bloomberg and the $10 million that he's spending, that's all going into local television, almost all of it, right? And so it's unfortunate. We should be able to, there's got to be a way to get some of that money into the print product, but it's almost all going into television. And so, TV stations have gotten used to this idea that during presidential years they get this boost of money, but it looks like it may be an extraordinarily good year for them this year. So good news for, KD.
Good news. Oh, we're happy. We're happy. Andrew Conte, thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate it. The first official results of the 2020 presidential election will start coming in tomorrow from Iowa. We'll take a look at that when the KDPG Sunday edition continues. Stick with us.